All right, there you go. Fantastic. Hey, everybody. My name is Mark Daya, and I am the owner and founder of Sac Platinum Realty. I'm excited to be up here today to tell you a little bit about my story and to help you guys understand Follow-Up Boss and some other productivity hacks. It's good to understand a little bit about my background, and I'll go through this part really fast. I was almost out of this business back. I've been selling real estate for 20 years, and I had my resumes out. I had all of that stuff going on. Everything was going terrible for me from basically 2007. Actually, it peaked in 2006, where I made like $40,000 the month that I went on my honeymoon. And I'm out in Maui collecting paychecks. I'm like, man, nothing could be better than this. Can we just do this forever, right? Make $40,000 a month living in Maui. And then I didn't close another deal for 5 months. And that was the beginning of the end, and I didn't actually realize it. And then fast forward to about 2012 and the beginning of 2013, I was literally getting my resumes put on the top of piles to get like a job with a state or something like that, anything that I could do, because my wife wasn't able to work due to health reasons. It was just a catastrophe. And through a little bit of sheer luck, in 2013, it ended up being my best year ever. Made like $150,000 that year, but it was by accident. And then by the end of 2013, I had to decide, am I actually going to do this business or am I not? I recognize I made money by accident. But because there was no plan, it was like I just stumbled into a client, and there was like double-ended a deal, and I kind of got lucky along the way. And then in 2014, I got really, really deliberate about my business. From January 1 to February 28th, I plotted and planned exactly what I was going to do. In fact, a lot of what you guys are gathering here at this event is like these ideas that you're going to gather and assemble and figure out how you're going to execute. And then on March 1st, it was like, now we're doing it. Because I figured out all my vendors, I figured out all the little things. And in my particular case, it was more of a farming scheme that I had figured out, and then I executed that on a really high level. So then I went from 2 years the number one agent in my city, and then started doing 50 deals a year every single year after that. It was a very quick ramp up. So my business was very reactive. This is the point of this, okay? My business was very reactive to becoming very proactive. It was about getting organized. It's about being very deliberate about everything that I do, and not just get out there, do open houses, and hopefully something hits me, right? Like, you're trying to get in the way of these targets that are coming at you. Buyer, let me get hit by what? Oh, boom, That is how it felt for a lot of the time. Now, just being out there, getting the exposure, obviously you're going to be able to make some money that way. But it really wasn't. My business really changed from just being that passive to proactive business, to catapult me from doing a dozen or 2 dozen deals a year to doing 50 deals a year consistently, year over year over year over year. And then eventually I found sides, started forming a team, and just grew from there. So that's a kind of a bit about my story. And part of that being proactive is really what allowed me to focus in on Follow-Up Boss and the CRM, and being really deliberate about the method that I choose to take on every single day. So let's get right into it. Before I start going through all of this stuff, can we get a raise of hands? How many here rely on their tasks in Follow-Up Boss? Are task heavy? Okay. And of you guys that really rely on your tasks, are task heavy, how many of you have like a lot of overdue tasks? Okay, laughing. Okay. What if I told you that I almost never use tasks in Follow-Up Boss, and yet I'm still able to stay on top of everything? How is that possible? It's how you set up Follow-Up Boss to begin with. If you haven't used Follow-Up Boss in the past, or maybe you come from another CRM system, So often we're used to A leads, B leads, C leads, right? Hot, the warm, the cold. That's kind of the system. And then everybody that's hot gets an A, and if it's like 30 to 60 or 30 to 90 from buying, there's a B, right? That's a kind of like traditional like nomenclature. I threw that out the window entirely. If there's one thing that you could take away from this meeting here, is do not classify your leads as the traditional A, B, C, hot, warm, cold. You want to classify it by the cadence in which you want to contact the person. Somebody that might be buying a home a year from now, they might be an A for a short while because you want to talk to that person once a week, nurture them, because that's the nature of the conversation where you're at in that stage, and then you'll move them to the C or the D or whatever you want to come up with for that stage. Does that make sense? When you're creating your smart lists, what you're doing is the key to having really good follow-up. Really good follow-up is to set your stage A, B, C, D, E, however you want your follow-up cadence to look like. Your smart lists should be stage A. Think of your filters. A, last communication is more than 7 days ago. Stage B, last communication more than 14 days ago, and so on. Because when you look at your smart list and you start with your number one list, which is your A list, you'll call that person, and once you call that person, you register a call log. What happens to it? It falls off of the list. So your goal every single day is to have all of your lists empty. All of your smart lists should look like 0. There are no names in any of your smart lists. Now you see, if you use that method, you don't need to use tasks at all. If you have any names on a smart list, you have to call them because they're overdue, because it's been more than 7 days or it's been more than 14 days and so on. The reason why I like this method, and it's, I think, superior to using any other methodology, is because if you have to use your brain to follow up, you are relying on a system designed to fail. Like, let's just be real. If you can go to your CRM and not have to think about who you have to call in a day, do you think you'll do better follow-up? You just look at your CRM, you sit down, this is my list for the day. These are the people that I haven't talked to in at least 7 days or 14 days or 30 days or whatever. Whatever cadence you want to do to set it up, you can do every 3 days. It's up to you how you guys want to define that, but as long as you're using the last communication field, that alone is going to be one of the biggest changers you're ever going to have, okay? In addition to that, tags. I do have one tag that I love more than any, which is, I call it my daily tag. These are this particular smart list, which does not have the last communication field attached to it. These are the people that I never want to lose sight of. Because even with your best intentions, you might not be able to stay on top of all of your smart lists, and those names can be piling up. But if you have like this one special list of the people that you just do not want to lose sight of, then I just use a daily tag. That's what I call it. And then I have a smart list called daily. So because every single day I want to look at it, just glance, anything here, no, okay, then I could go back to my normal smart list and do my follow-up calls during my follow-up period on my daily schedule. Do that. Okay. Create a smart list based on activity. Now, does everybody here use Real Scout? But most people here to use Real. I actually don't. I have Ylopo. So who has not heard of Ylopo? Oh gosh. Okay, so let me back up. Ylopo is, it does a lot of what Real Scout does and then more. It's not a cheap system. Real Scout is probably one of the most affordable, biggest bang for your buck systems. Real Scout is excellent. If you're used to Real Scout, you like Real Scout, there's really no reason to leave it. I just knew Ylopo really well. They do lead gen for me. They do AI follow-up. When somebody goes onto the website, I get notified, like if, the other day, it's been 355 days and they just came back to the website, right? And so, they get tagged in a certain way. And I do have a smart list that I'll set up. And you can do something similar to Real Scout, the last activity. So last activity, less than 7 days. Last communication field, more than 7 days. And the phone number is good. These are kinds of smart lists that you can do. Just thinking about your smart list in a really certain way of being intelligent about what you're creating. Because what's your CRM for anyway? Your CRM is for the follow-up. Also, another hack. Did you guys know that there's that little red button next to the bell? I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that. I've had Follow-Up Boss for 9 years now. Like I was asking Sai to get Follow-Up Boss before, like, way back when. Yeah, that's a great little tool right there, by the way. If you have red there, check your notifications. You will find some gems in that notification list, and then you can go to your settings over there for those notifications. And those settings, you'll be able to set up exactly how you want to be notified on those things. I did not know that even existed until not even 6 months ago. But when I found it, I was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. So I had to share that. That's a little known thing. Okay, next thing. Pawns. Who here use pawns? Pawns are, let's just go over the 3 primary purposes of a pond. Look, it's designated to create a place where leads can be accessed by multiple people. So for example, you have, if you are a team lead and you are generating leads, you're paying pay-per-click advertising, you are social media ads, or whatever it is. When those leads come in, they can go straight into the pond, or I call it the bank. And that's where for me, how I run it, up until last week, but I'll get into that in a second. This is where everybody on the team that has access to leads can find all of those new leads. And the way I have it set it up is that anybody can reach out to the lead, anybody can convert it. Whoever gets a hold of that lead to begin with can assign it to themselves at that point in time. The second way, the reason to use a pond is that I use it as a place to segregate the non-priority leads from priority ones. So for example, leads that are just stale, leads that nobody has been able to get a hold of. And sometimes somebody submits their information and look, they just submitted their information. They're not ready. They don't want to talk. They're going to avoid every single phone call that they can until they're ready. But the other day we had a call night, and on the 34th attempt, I'm not exaggerating, person picks up the phone. It's like, I'm ready. And it was in the pond, of course, because after 34 attempts, that's where it's going to live. It's also a place that I, sometimes from the title company, I'll import some data, and then I'll just dump it in the pond as well. Like, let's just say it's a farm, because, I'm not going to assign that lead to anywhere, to anybody on the team. So I'll get 200 leads, 300 leads. I actually did an investor, all the Northern California investors, and I imported 43,000 leads into the CRM that lives in that one pond. And so whenever I have a good investment opportunity, I'll just blast it to that pond and see what happens. Never know, right? So if you ever get overwhelmed by the number of online leads in your database, I would recommend top grading your list. If you're a team member or for your team leader, you kind of want to have your top 100 that are assigned to you. And then if you start having 120, 130, clean it up. Take the bottom 30, dump it into the pond, and just keep focused on your top 100. And so every single agent on my team also has a pond named after them, because I want them to be able to segregate their focused leads from the ones that just need to be nurtured over time. I also have another pond called Pond Scum. These are the people that say, I'm not interested, I'm working with an agent, or maybe it's a missed opportunity, that kind of thing, right? So every now and then I have my ISA, maybe once a quarter or something like that. Not even, man, less than that. Go through the not interested. They were not interested then. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be still not interested. At some point in time, over the years and years and years of accumulating all of these leads through the database, that you could get that. Now, and I'm talking about all of this from the aspect of lead gen for online leads. I have a Zillow Flex team. We do a lot of pay-per-click, all of that stuff, and I understand that not everybody's doing that. Many people just have a sphere-related database, so you might treat things a little bit differently. But nonetheless, this using the ponds still allows you to organize things a little bit better. Now, this is more for the team leaders in the room, but this is good for you guys to know what Follow Up Boss is capable of. Inbox management, super important. I have a lot of different phone numbers, and each of my phone numbers corresponds to, like, for example, I've got one phone number that's for my signs. So when my phone rings, I know exactly that it's a sign call. I've got a phone number for Yelp. I have a phone number, some deactivated numbers. I have my Google phone number, right? So when somebody calls the line on Google, I know it's, they're calling from Google. So I'm looking at it like, oh, okay, that could be a lead coming in. Unless it's some random zip code, then I know it's like some spam call. But the point is that you can create a different phone number, a different inbox for any of your different media. Your postcards, maybe the phone number in your postcards is like a special phone number. Your newsletter is a different phone number. You could have any number of calls. I also do, by the way, I purchase cash offer leads. So, people, I want to sell my house now kind of thing, right? I want a cash offer for my home. And then when we are making outbound phone calls to that list, I have my ISA call out of that inbox, because if it's a missed call and they call back, I also want to be able to answer that the correct way. Because, if they're calling back that number, I know it's going to be, hey, this is a cash offer buyer. I want to be able to just have the right tone, the right when that call comes in. Does that make sense? So, because
I never recognize I do this.
The caller ID for me comes up. So it'll say Google phone number. So if somebody calls, they say sign call, my phone says sign call, and I have not saved it. So you might want to have somebody on your team call one of those numbers, and to see how it comes up on your phone, to see if you have the right ID for that. But it's a great way. This is a good hack to really understand your sources. Go ahead, ask a question.
Working with the client, get one phone number, and they...
Yeah. I don't know if I have this hack in there or not. I'll have to double check. We'll if I come across that slide, we'll just skip it. This is a great question, guys. You all know that you have a Follow Up Boss phone number, right? That is what I call my work phone number. I think there is a slide in here about that. If you go to your settings in Follow Up Boss, this is actually really important, and I want everybody to do this at a minimum because it takes no effort to do at all. If you go to your settings, fill out your VCARD entirely. It'll have your Follow Up Boss phone number, add your cell phone number to it, add any information that you want on there, including your website. In fact, what I tell my entire team to do is everybody on my team has a Linktree account, because I tell them you want to be able to curate the content that exists online. When somebody wants to do a deep dive and understand who you are, who they are talking to, when you send them the VCARD, which you could do as an attachment on a text message from Follow Up Boss, it's coming from your Follow Up Boss work number. And then, of course, you have your cell phone number. So they have your work line and your cell phone line. As soon as they download your VCARD, you can call them from either number. And they have the Linktree, so they can learn more about you. So when you have your Linktree, okay, well, here's a video of me. Hey, I'm Mark, so happy, video might be called Get to Know Mark, whatever, right? And you can have whatever you want on your Linktree, your YouTube account, your Instagram, your Facebook, links. I'm having a special event, first-time homebuyer event on my Linktree. All of this stuff that you want out there, if you want somebody to learn about you, just send them to your Linktree account. Hey, get to know Mark. This is my listing strategy. This is whatever it is. It's going to be very helpful to see. There it is, right there. They just knew. Look at those guys back there. All stars. Way to go. Yeah, exactly. When we're talking about Follow-Up Boss, this is simply one of our systems. Okay, we've got, when it comes to productivity, you've got people, processes, templates, technology, checklists. These are systems. Follow-Up Boss falls into our technology part of this for productivity. But we all need to take a step back for a second and look at our business and understand that it is a business, guys. I know so often we get in a routine of showing up to an open house. We get in a routine of you get into the grind, the daily routine. And every now and then, it's really important you take a step back to look at your business from a 30,000-foot level. Because if you could develop a perfect business, if you want to do whatever your goal is, everybody's going to have a different goal. Whether you want to do $1 billion in sales, or whether you just I just want to do 10 million in sales and do that every year because I don't want to drive myself crazy because that's the income that I'm looking to do. Whatever it is. Everything requires a little bit of scale. Everything requires a little bit of systems, checklists, and so on and so forth. And if you wanted to develop a perfect business, these are the things you're going to focus on to develop that perfect business. If you have the right people in place, if you have the right processes in place, the templates, the technology, the checklist, these are the things that are going to move your business and move the needle. So when you're thinking about your business at any point in time, you got to look at each one of these aspects and ask yourself, does that work or not? Okay? And this goes back to one of the things one of the themes that I started with, the reactive and active business model and how to control your day. And every single one of you has heard it a million times, your daily schedule, right? It's easier said than done. I think we all can acknowledge the difficulties in that daily schedule. Again, coming to these conferences is not only do you get the chance to learn things, but I think it's also a chance for self-reflection to see where you stand, where your business is compared to some of the others that you aspire to be like. It's a chance for you guys to ask yourself, what are you doing right? What are you not doing right? And what would you like to change and improve, right? So some of this is about identifying your current habits. What are your natural talents? Some people are absolutely superhuman. They could do no wrong. They just seem to do everything right. And I don't know, I'm not one of those people. Seriously, I know there are some agents that I see, I don't know how they do it all. And I know that it's really just them doing it. They don't have this big team behind it. They're just awesome at everything. But that was never me, never has been me. So I've really had to think about the business. I've had to think about multitasking. I've had to think about those things. And so I've also tried to identify my habits. What are my good habits? What are my bad habits? What tools do I need to use to organize my day? What are the things that derail me and that I could get rid of? What are I'm procrastinating at? What do I just suck at? And I've learned recently that it is not sometimes it's not about the how behind things. And I know we go to these conferences okay, what's my takeaway? What are the things I need to do? What's the exact thing I need to implement? The how, right? But sometimes the answer is the who. It's the person. I might be good at one thing, and then somebody else on my team is going to be really good at something else. And I want to make sure that person is the one that's going to take that responsibility. And me not just try to pretend to be great at everything because I'm not, and eventually I'm just going to drop the ball. This is my confession hour, right? I'm on stage talking like this. But it can be so hard sometimes coming to these events and understanding what the takeaway needs to be. And so when we're talking about that reactive business versus active business, you really, I want you guys to ask yourself about that daily schedule, about what is it in the day that you're being really proactive about, and what is it in the day that you're actually being reactive about, and what can you change in your business to really make it a truly proactive business. I've seen some amazing people on stage today and yesterday talking about the things that they do in their business. And I'm like, yeah, I like to implement that, right? These are all like proactive things that they do. But when we all go home and we sit down and figure out like what we're going to do, how many of us do fall back into old routines of what we're really used to? One of the ways that I've personally found to break that routine a bit is by focusing on my calendar very, very intently. I really try to live by my calendar, truth be told. I try to, as much as possible, 80% of it, I try to follow. It can never be perfect. There's things that derail you in the day. But I try to find ways to minimize what derails me. I look for virtual assistants. I look for my assistant, who I call my boss. She's amazing, and she really helps me go through these things. So again, it goes to people, process, checklist, templates, right? The people there are really, really important to me and to my success. Another great hack that I've got, has anybody heard of Maverick? One person. Doesn't surprise me. Not many people know about Maverick, okay? Guys, well, first of all, if you're a team leader, this. If you're not a team leader, tell your team leader, okay? Maverick is about, it tells you some nudges. Maverick looks at your follow-up boss. It's a bolt-on system. It looks at your follow-up boss and finds all the people that you didn't call. The people that you're supposed to call. It's based off of your stages. And then it will notify you like, hey, you didn't give this person a call. And I cannot begin to tell you how many deals we have found because like, oh yeah, there's that person. I forgot to give that person a call. I know we've got the smart list and I know all of that stuff, but this is another, call it a fail-safe to follow-up boss. So if you do have a lot of leads that you're trying to follow up on, this over here is really, really important to make sure that you don't drop the ball. It's a fantastic tool. Just full disclosure, this happens to be an affiliate link of mine. I use it. I'm not a salesperson for them. I've never actually promoted it before, but I'm just telling you that I use it and I love it. Our team loves it. It also has AI coaching. So it has different AI personalities that you can call. Yeah. AI, so three or four different AI buyers, 3 or 4 different AI sellers, like an irate seller or like just a regular buyer coming in, just did their initial online inquiry. And then after you could practice with it, it'll grade you, send an email to you on telling you ways that you can improve your phone call. It's great for just coaching. So if you ever have a call night, everybody should just warm up on the AI coach, get some of those butterflies out of the way or whatever, and then go into making some phone calls. It's a really, 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 really cool tool to use, just so you guys know. That slide kind of came out of order. Sorry about that. That was my fault. So, productivity, guys. Follow-up boss. These two things go hand in hand. Follow-up boss, I have found, if you can just use if you can have a paradigm shift, adjusting instead of the hot, warm, cold stages that we're all kind of accustomed to hearing people talk about, and think of it as, no, my leads are not in terms of hot, warm, and cold. All of the leads in the system have to do with how often I need to communicate with them. So if you have past clients and you want to communicate with them once a quarter, then great. You have a stage that's dedicated to past client. You can call a stage past clients, and you can merge that stage in your smart lists with another stage that's also a 90-day follow-up. So you have all of your 90-day follow-ups, all the stages that equal 90 days in one smart list. So on a daily basis, you'll be going in and clearing out each smart list. And you should order them. You could change the order of your smart list. You go to manage lists, change the order. That's a big one as well, from the priority. You want to prioritize the most important list first, all the way to the least important list last. And your job every single day is to not think and just do. So during the time block that you have in your calendar to make outbound phone calls, you are going to start with list number 1, go through it, empty it out, go to list 2, and so on and so on and so on. And if you can't finish it, okay, the work moves over to the next day. If you find yourself that you have so many leads in the database that you cannot properly keep track of, this is when you turn to an ISA. So ISAs, let's talk about that really quick. I do not recommend increasing expenses unnecessarily or just because you just don't want to do something. I think it's important. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do, but if it truly does drain you to make those outbound phone calls that you know you're supposed to be making, or because you've invested money in pay-per-click advertising and those inquiries are coming in and nobody's calling them, you're just burning money, and anybody want to admit it? Yeah, it happens. Then invest in an ISA. And I go offshore with my ISAs, but I don't go to the Philippines. I go to Egypt on that. I have found some great talented ISAs in Egypt. And if you guys are curious about that and you do want to check that out and interview some ISAs, let me know. You can shoot me a message and I could connect you with my guy. I pay $6 an hour, I think it is. And I am extremely pleased with the talent that I get out of Egypt for the ISAs. That's something else to consider for you guys too. When we are dealing with productivity and the CRM, I know we're all looking for ways to say, hey, okay, how do I use my CRM? I'm looking for that hack. I'm looking to make my life simple. There are no shortcuts in any of this. There's nothing that's done for you. It all takes work. It all takes time. And if you're not going to put in the time, that means you have to put in the money. It's one of the two. You put the time in or you put the money in, but you don't get one without the other. So if you've got time on your hands, then great. Use that time wisely and make the outbound phone calls. If you don't have time on your hands, then you've got money. And then you need to invest in the systems and tools that allow you to create more leverage and more opportunity for you. And that's where you start bringing in ISAs. That's where you start bringing in those other VAs to assist you. Otherwise, if it's you need to have a systematic way of approaching your day. Because you don't want to be me. You don't want to be me back in 2012, 2013, having a very reactive business. How can everything that we're doing in this conference right now really you should be going home thinking about how can I take what I've learned, implement it to change my business to become more of a proactive business. In my opinion, the way I view it is just my point of view. It's like how my brain is wired, I guess. It has to do with, it begins with the CRM for me. And I don't know if that's just because of I built so many leads that I just kind of zoomed in on that. But I can't imagine, even if I had an entirely purely I'm just trying to imagine it right now, like a purely sphere of influence database, I would still want to use the CRM the same exact way. You've got to spend the time in the CRM. You have to be methodical about it. You don't want to drop the ball. You don't want to have, those opportunities. Oh yeah, there's that one person that I closed forever ago, and they 2 sessions ago, I heard a story of a lead I hate calling them lead, a past client that couldn't remember the agent's name, and finally occurred to her, it was you. You said it, right? It was you. Yeah, that's right. I'm like, yes. If that person is in the CRM and that person's being dripped, not even dripped, but you're making that outbound phone call to them because they're assigned that past client. They're in the smart list. They're going to stay in that smart list until you get a hold of them, because the last communication field is more than 90 days at this point, and it's glaring, hey, call me. That's never going to happen again. If you set it up this way, you're just not going to have those. Now, if you end up in a situation where that list is just growing forever, then you have to do something about it. Now you have to spend money. If you're not going to put the time into it, then it's a very cheap alternative just to go ahead and invest in an ISA at that point in time, and then just make those phone calls on your behalf. That one change alone, applying that last communication, will change everything about how you run your CRM. And it can be that simple. Your CRM is just smart lists, nothing more than that. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. If you get really good at it, you can start bolting on some additional things like Maverick. You can start bolting on call action. You can start bolting on open to close. There's these other, and Ylopo. You could do these other things with it. We all bolt on Real Scout. So, that works well. That will, for a lot of people, if you're not doing that already, really revolutionize your approach to the day, and allows you to become proactive at that point. I would love to open this up for any questions for the next 3 minutes.